is why there is so much of disparity among people. Some are poor, some are rich, some are intelligent, others are not. Some are handicapped. How to overcome this? In the Upanishads, the cause for creation is explained, also in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. And the cause for creation is, we said, ignorance, right? Just now we said for disparity, ignorance is a problem. Ignorance, because of that, I have an identification, I am a jiva. And therefore, I am trying to yoke out experiences of trying to gain happiness in the world by action. And whenever I perform an action, there are two types of results that come out of the action. One is called a tangible result, immediate result that comes out of the action. So if I want to study engineering, I had to go through that, and when I become an engineer, that's tangible, that I have accomplished something. So every action that I do with the notion that I am a doer, that means a notion that I am, that kartrutva bhavam is there, then the result belongs to me that I enjoy, or therefore there is a bhoktrutva bhavam, that I am an enjoyer also. But in that enjoyment, there are two types of results that come. One is a tangible, another is intangible. The intangible is that leaves an impression in the mind, either to repeat that or not to repeat that, depending upon the nature of that experience. So if I went to a good South Indian house, Madras, where they gave me a good hot cup of Madras coffee, it was so good. Then I liked it so much that I say, how do you make this? So he gave me a recipe. So I start making, so immediate result is there when I enjoyed coffee, but also it left an impression on my mind to repeat that experience again because it's a favorable experience. So when every time at 3 o'clock I have good cup of hot coffee because I know how to make it. And every time I enjoy, it leaves an impression again more and more to the degree that at 3 o'clock, whatever I am doing, I say cup of coffee. A desire will come into mind to have that experience again. That desire came from the impressions left in my mind because of my previous actions that are involved. Even though actions are gone, impressions is left in the mind as subtle impressions, that's all is called vasana. Any action where the ego is involved, ahankara is involved, I am a doer, that leaves an impression that I am an enjoyer and therefore I am also responsible to have that as a vasana left in the impression, and that propels me to act again. So action will propel me, give me vasanas. Vasana will propel me into actions again. That actions again will propel me more vasanas. So I get into this cycle of where vasanas will causing me actions, actions will cause me actions. Bhagavan Ramana says, this is Krutimahodado Patanakaranam. In the Upadesasara, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, we took the text also. Says this becomes a whirlpool where we get caught up into this. So those vasanas that are left behind that cannot be exhausted in this life, I deposit into my bank account, and that forms a part of my total account called Sanchita Karma. And from that, again I born into an environment conducive to exhaust those vasanas. So particular body or particular parents and so on, all the things is coming only because that is the particular environment conducive to exhaust the vasanas that I have. So I cannot complain, why am I born with rich or poor and all that, because that particular environment is conducive to exhaust the type of vasanas I have. Essentially, I have provided the blueprint of my life that this is what I want or this is what I had to enjoy as a result of my previous actions, which are deposited and they are ready to germinate, and those are the ones that I am exhausting in this life. And being an intelligent being, this vasanas give me an environment, what is called a prarabdham, that is what I brought with me. And also as an intelligent being, I have a choice of action in the present, to do or not to do, or to do other way. Kartum sekyum, akartum sekyum, anedha kartum sekyum. That choice I have as a human being. If it's an animal or all that, they go a beaten back. They don't have to think. Should I go for a vegetarian food or a non-vegetarian food? Or should I go to Chinese food or Japanese food? All those choices, they don't exercise. Only a human mind exercises because he has a choice. In fact, he cannot but choose. He has no choice but to choose at any time. To come to this class or not to come to this class. Pros and cons. You have to debate. Hey, I am going to lose some fun and I have to suffer here this lecture. Whatever that you want. Depending upon your value for whatever you are experiencing. And this prarabdha is what you have. That's a beautiful statement by Gurudev. Prarabdha is what I have, and what I do with what I have is called purushartha. So next prarabdha, or next destiny that's going to come is past prarabdha modified by present action, what I choose now. So I am the prisoner of my past, and also I am the master of my future. That choice I have. So why am I born, whom I married, all that we cannot complain. So don't complain about your husbands or wives, because those particular ones are the right ones to exhaust your vasanas. The Lord has blessed you because that's what you need. If you want a better one, I don't want to say better one, you have to work now so that the next one will be better. Not this one. So my vasanas dictate my world, your vasanas dictate your world, her vasanas dictate her world. Therefore the total world is nothing but the vasanas of all the beings in the world are becoming the root cause for the world that is created. So Lord says, I have nothing to do. I am only a creative power. What comes out depending upon the vasanas of the people that are there. If I don't like this world, change my vasanas, you change your vasanas, he changes his vasanas, that everybody changes, and for a better world to create, then the world has to be better. So that's why you have to work from yourself. So why am I born with the different types of things is, the Bhagavan Krishna says in terms, the karma is the root cause for the creation. Sir, this looks logical. Whatever I am because of my past actions, I am an engineer because I went to engineering school. Now if I want to go to medical school, then I am an engineer modified into a doctor. I'll have both of them. So whatever I do will be because of my actions. But when did this first vasana come? Because the whole creation started with some vasanas. But when did the first vasanas come? This is all because of previous life. It says that come because of previous life only. So what about previous life? Previous life came because of previous to previous life. Sir, tell me, when is the first one? There is no first one. This is a cycle. The cycle cannot have the beginning. The ignorance cannot have the beginning. This is a fundamental law of Vedanta is, ignorance cannot have beginning, because if the ignorance has a beginning, before that I am already intelligent, right? So if I ask you, do you know chemistry? No, I don't know chemistry. When did your ignorance of chemistry started? If I ask you a question, what would you say? From the beginning. Because no ignorance can start. It's always anadi. But lack of knowledge of chemistry can end when I learn chemistry. Right? So therefore, ignorance can end, but it is beginningless. Therefore, the disparities because of my previous actions. I am only one in engineering, he is a doctor and he is a scientist, the other fellow wants to be a couch potato. Why, if you ask? Because of my past. The reason is, I am an engineer because I went to engineering school, he went to a medical school, that fellow didn't go to any school. All the disparities because of their past actions, results. And therefore, idea is what I have now is what I should do with what I have is a purushartha, and that's where I can change my future. Okay? For the rest of it, you have to attend the Gita classes. How to know what decisions to make at any time if we wish to do as the Lord feels is best? Do we offer it to the Lord and just make a choice, placing faith and trust in God? What to do when we live in the world full of so many choices? Yes, we just now said we cannot but choose. Every time I am at crossroads, I have to make a decision. So what is the right decision? That depends upon my culture, my education, my value system. All that comes into picture in making my right decision. That's why children doesn't know what is right and what is wrong. Parents teach the child, hey, beta, that you should not do, beta, you should do this. All that comes from the parents, the dharma and adharma. That's the first lesson. The second is the scriptures tell you what is right thing to do and what is wrong thing to do. There is always conflict of values at any moment. The conflict is sometimes I had to sacrifice one for the other. But what is the higher at that sacrifice so that I can sacrifice lower one for that? The highest is self-realization is the highest because all other problems are pseudo-problems. So this is the highest dharma, is Sanatana Dharmam. That's what our religion is. That is the highest. And that all others are only steps towards that. So anything that propels me, takes me towards that higher is the right decision. Anything that takes me away from that is the wrong decision. That's a simple. But dharma and adharma is a bit more complex. In India we say, thou shalt not, we will not say. Those are only not our religion. All dharmas and adharmas are taught in the form of stories. How the great people address these when they face these conflicts. In the story form. So all of Ramayana, Bharata, all that is dharmam. Trying to teach what is right. And that is the only way, once I realize that, I understand. So, Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyaha. Says, what I believe and what I understand correctly, that becomes my Swadharma. Not I am a Brahmin Christian, that's not Swadharma. Swadharma means what I believe that is right and follow what I am doing is right. When you follow that, there is no conflict in your mind. You can sleep comfortably. Hey, I know I am right and I did whatever. I may be wrong from other people's point. My wife may not agree, my husband may not agree, but this I know is right thing to do. Then you can sleep comfortably. Others may not sleep comfortably, but you can sleep comfortably. That means it doesn't leave agitations in the mind. That's why Krishna says, Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya. What is my Swadharma? First learn what is your Swadharma. Through scriptures, to understanding, listening to people, to listening to Acharyas, all that will help to know what is the right thing to do. So in this, what choices I exercise, at that moment use your intellect, because God has given you that gift to see what all the pros and cons, all that See, and what need to be done and what is the best from your point at that time. And bring the Lord now. Oh Lord, I think this is the best. I am doing, thinking, because I know you are with me in this. So when you jump into the action as Ishwar Arpitam, Ichchaya Krutam, Chitta Sodhakam, and this is also Ramana's sloka, by the way. It says, when I offered to the Lord, whatever, whether it's wrong or right, I am offering to Him. That is His problem now. Once I offered, I clean my hands out. That means once I bring the Lord, whatever I do what is right thing. When you bring the Lord, don't have negative things. Automatically they have to drop out because you are bringing the Lord and offering to the Lord, even the action. That is the right prayer. Performing the best and offering to the Lord. That is the prayer. All other prayers are only training for it. Jagada Isha Dihi Yukta Sevanam. The Lord is everywhere, not only in the temple. So wherever I am performing, I have to perform with the Lord only. So if I recognize and perform, then offering the actions itself becomes a prayer. The result is coming from the Lord, therefore it is prasadam. Anything that comes from the Lord is prasadam. That means I do not react to the prasadam. Prasadam, if somebody gives, you accept, whether it's a vibhuti in the Seva temple or pulihora in the Vaishnava temple, you accept it because it is coming from the Lord. You don't ask, how come I'm getting this much, other fellow is getting more. All those questions don't. Who made this? Is it sweet? Is it hot? Is it bitter? All those questions don't come because it is prasadam. So experience and the results of the actions can be different types, but I accept and look at it and then act the next time, because karmani eva adhikarasti ma phaleshva dasana. I have only choice of all the time act. I can only act in the present. We'll see in the sloka comes in also. I can only act in the present, not in the past, not in the future. I can only act in the present. Result is always future to the action. It comes after the action. Therefore it is coming from the Lord, not from me. I have no control in the future. So once I recognize the laws of action, I offer everything to the Lord. Then once I offer, don't say, what am I doing with my offering and all that. Whatever comes, accept is a prasadam. That means I am not reacting to the result. Only action, not a reaction. That's how we live in the world. That means you are free from all agitations out of it. When I experience a longing, craving, desire for something, anything to take a nap, to eat a piece of chocolate, to buy new shoes, to travel to Paris, which is that I who is longing and craving after the objects, can this, next page, can this ever be God who is doing the action of craving in us or through us? How to get rid of these attachments? God says, God means Lord Krishna says, Upadrashtar mantacha bharta bhukta mahishwaraha, in the 13th chapter. I am standing behind you, inside, in every heart I am there. Whether you like it or not, He is there already. But if I am acting, if I have a craving for a chocolate, why do I get a craving for chocolate? Because chocolate gives me happiness, right? If chocolate is going to give me misery, I am not going to give for. So the Upanishad says, so anything that I desire for only because that is going to give me happiness. So right now I have those desires. What to do? Don't ask me not to have it because I already have it. So it is wrong, it is useless advice to tell me that don't have it. So what do I do with what I have? In that case, suppose you have a good desire for rasmalai, I don't know about chocolate because I don't like chocolate, but I'll say rasmalai. Rasmalai. If you have a good desire for rasmalai, what you do? Make a lot of it. Because you have it, right? You have a desire. But offer it to the Lord. Before you eat, offer it to the Lord. Any desire you have, offer it to him. He is ready to eat anything. So you offer it to him. Once you offer it, what happens then? It becomes prasadam. And prasadam, you cannot go inside a room and lock yourself and eat yourself. Prasadam has to be distributed. So bring that rasamalai tomorrow. Distribute and give it to everybody so that everybody can enjoy. So whatever I have, there is nothing wrong in enjoying as long as they are dharmic. Okay? I want to enjoy beating everybody. No. That's why I have to say, as long as it doesn't hurt others. Dharmic means I should not hurt others for my enjoyment. That's what dharmic means. Whatever I expect others not to do to me, I should not do to others. What I expect others to do to me, I should do to others. I want others to be kind to me. I want others to be compassionate to me. I want everybody to love me. I want everybody to forgive my mistakes. Therefore, it is my duty to do all that. I want others not to steal my property. I don't want others not to lie to me. All those not things I don't want others to do, I should not do to the others. That's simple dharma. So as long as the desires are dharmic, that's why the Vedas says, you enjoy. You earn as much as money as you can. Dharmic way. Not cheating anybody, but dharmic way you earn. But use the money properly. So if you have desire to go to Paris, and you have second ticket also, I also can come. So there is no problem. But let's do prayers and then we go together. So there is no problem in enjoyment as long as it's a dharmic. If you have money, of course money you need for those. I am Amrutam. How do I experience this? You have to understand the statement. I am Amrutam. Means what? I am immortal. Then why should next question come? How do I experience this? You are already. If you are already Amrutam, then the second question, the following aspect does not arise because you already are. The problem is, I am Amrutam is a statement, but I have not realized that I am that Amrutam. It's not an experience. Experience is not Amrutam. Experience is Mrutam, because experience comes and goes. So I cannot experience Amrutam. I had to realize that I am Amrutam, period. By not identifying with all that are Mrutams. That means that identifying that which is finite. By not identifying as I am this, I am this, I am this, which are Mrutam, because this keeps changing into that. By knowing who I am, that is beyond any change. That is what Amrutam is. So how do I experience this? Attend Saddarsanam classes every week. Attend Bhagavad Gita classes until I recognize my true nature. That's what it is. What is a thought? How do you apply the knowledge of Satchit Ananda at your workplace? A thought is a disturbance in my mind, perturbation in my mind, in response to the things outside. Okay? I'm trying to give a clear definition. Says anything that I perceive where I am different from what I am perceiving, so a perturbation in the system is response from which all things are fed into my mind, and mind perceives that as a vritti, that's a thought. So thought is existence of an object outside is transformed into existence inside. As though. It's not that. Existence is all pervading. Now follow. This is because this is epistemological issues. This how the knowledge takes place. There is a beautiful book by Advaita, for Advaita. There is a Vedanta Paribhasha. You can get on the online also. But if you read it, you'll be thoroughly confused. You close the book after first page. Vedanta Paribhasha is by Dharmaraja Advarindra on pramanas and all that, how the perception, knowledge and all that. In fact, I'm trying to write a commentary on that. That's where the perceptual knowledge takes place. It's a very condensed, but to explain one page, it takes about 10-15 pages of analysis. And that is what all these descriptions are given in that. What is a thought? Thought is a response of my perceptual aspect of it. Anything that I perceive arises as a thought. And that will be stored in the memory. And therefore, even when I don't see it, I can even recollect from the memory also. And I have a thought. It can be objectified or it can be concept also. All are thoughts. Mind is defined as flow of thoughts. It's not just the flow of thoughts. It is the background on which the thoughts flow. Okay? Flow means a direction. If the flowing means it's a direction. The direction is set by the vasanas because the vasanas are like a grooves in which the thoughts flow. So I think in one way, he thinks in other way because the grooves are formed by the vasanas. So if you look at all the signs here, the thought is what I am responding in terms of what I am seeing and so on. The whole world is through perception knowledge. Or I can analyze and deduce called anumana. So all pramanas or knowledge takes place through the thought process. And also I can only think one at a time. Not I can have simultaneously two thoughts. It is a thought and a thought and a thought and a thought. And whole japa yoga is based on this, where I can say instead of all other thoughts, I will have only same thought repeating again and again and again, and that's what is japa. Right? And thoughts, I am there seeing the thoughts, and I am there between the thoughts also, I am there, and therefore the japa is part of the mind is chanting, and I am an observer observing the thoughts rising in my mind and going into silence, and thoughts rising in the mind and going into silence. I am there with the thought, I am there when there is no thought also. So that's what the secret of japa yoga is. But here it says, where am I? How do I apply? Oh, that is a thought. What is a thought? That is a thought. That's the end of my answer actually. But what is a thought is? Thought is vritti, but it has a response outside as an object. So every thought has to have an object as its locus. That's a thought. Including I am, this is also a thought. Okay? How do I apply the knowledge of Satchidananda at your workplace? Number one, Satchit Ananda means existence, consciousness, infiniteness. Now, where it is not there? Sat means existence, it has to be infinite. Consciousness has to be infinite. And Ananda is by definition infinite. Anantameva Anandam. And therefore it is workplace or not workplace also, this is Satchidananda only. But having a knowledge of Satchidananda means what? It's not a knowledge of something, knowledge that I am Satchidananda. That means I am infinite. Right? That should be the knowledge. I am infinite means what? Whether it's a workplace or not workplace, every place I am only. There is nothing other than I am. If there is something other than I am, there are only superimpositions only. And a simple answer is, if my finger goes into my eye, I do not prosecute this finger. You finger, how dare you go into my eye? I'm not going to prosecute this finger. The same finger will go and soothe my eye because it is my finger. If it is your finger, it's a separate question. Because there is I and you are separateness is there, that is the problem here. So when I understand that I am Satchidananda, I am infinite, everything is in me, I am not separate from anything because I pervade this entire as the substantive, whether it's an office or everywhere, even my including rotten neighbor is also me only. So if I have that clear understanding, I play the role of an individual, knowing very well I am also that, just the way Lord Krishna played or Rama played. There are Kamsas and Jarasandas, all sorts of demons are there also. He shows that in the Vishwarupam, everybody is him only. At the same time, he need not spare one Kamsa. Every god is given with all the ornaments only, they come with the missiles and all that. Which means I had to know what is dharmam, establishing the dharmam properly. So every action has to be done properly, what is need to be done. So it says sama, dana, beda, dandam. Are they right? If I can convince the other guy, hey, this is not the way to do, then I had to convince him and do what is the right thing to do, whether it's an office or anywhere. If it is not, then he has to, if I am a boss, of course, I can use dandam also, if whatever the means available to make sure. Why? Because we are working for one organization, and organization is one we have to do in the form of yajna, where I sacrifice, you sacrifice, everybody sacrifice for the benefit of the totality that we are together. Yajnartham karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. That's what yajna means. Every field of action I had to act properly. So if I understand it and operate, there are always people, there are always foxes, there are always snakes, there are always good people also. So I don't put my finger into fox's mouth and then say, why is it biting me? No, I have to deal, when I deal with the fox, it's a fox only. If he's my boss, I have to properly protect myself. All that is proper common sense where we have to use it. At the same time, I had to act in a dharmic way so that I can go and sleep and forget my office, because I played this role as best as I can. Now I am in a different scene. I don't take this role into other role. Like one fellow is acting a king in one scene, and the other fellow he has to act like a beggar. But if he acts like a king also in the other scene, we are in real trouble. Whatever roles you play, you play. So when you are in the job, you play as an employee. When you come home, don't bring all your employment problems at home. Right? There you play a role of a grahastha. So every role you play the best, then role playing is fun. Life becomes a beautiful game, provided you know how to play. We are already in the playground and don't know how the rules of the game. Of course, we will be... Everybody will walk over us. That's our problem. So whether it's office or also, we can use it by understanding other people's weaknesses and how to, if we can educate them, that's good. If there is a way of doing so that people can learn, that's good. Otherwise, try to do what need to be done and be out with it. After Buddha attained nirvana, he never said anything about God. Consciousness, does that mean he didn't get realization? For that, I suggest that you attend June 27th, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, one of the famous dance teacher. He's doing that dance drama. That's my wife. No, really, this is one of those honeydews to do. It's one of the best drama that's going to be about on Buddha. And we can ask at that time, whoever is acting like a Buddha, why does that mean that he did not realize? Actually, one cannot analyze somebody realized or not. This is we have to understand. No one can evaluate other people's realization because it's an understanding. So don't go and testing somebody has realized. There's no litmus test for you to find out whether somebody realized or not. And particularly your wife will tell you that you are not realized. That's one of the signs maybe for realization. Who knows? The fact of the matter is no one will know. Others have realized. So what should I do is you realize first. When you realize, then you realize that other people's are all my glory only. Okay? So don't worry about whether Buddha realized, or somebody asked me recently whether J. Krishnamurti realized, and all these questions of somebody else has realized, or I go to this Swami is not realized, the other Swami is realized. No, if you go to any Swami, learn. If you can get by satsang, if you can get help from it, get it, otherwise just leave that place. Because you are not for that Swami, somebody else will get up. So, it is your realization that is important. Am I realized or not? That is the fundamental truth. And we are almost getting 2 o'clock. It is said that you wrote a 11-page letter to Swami Chinmayananda. Swami answered all your questions very convincingly. What were your questions? It took 11 pages. And the secret is, Swami did not answer any of the questions. When I first time met, I don't believe in Swamis at that time. I was allergic to Swamis. And when I went first lecture, 11 years ago, was it 11? Not 11. In 1977, I went to Swamiji. My wife dragged me. I didn't want to go either. But next day I was there. When I wrote Swamiji, he didn't ask me. He asked me to come and meet me in Pittsburgh. The lecturer, I met him here in Washington. He asked me to come. And those pages of whatever I asked became a basis to form a Seva Incorporated. I don't know if you heard of Seva. And Swamiji has a very good knack. If anybody complains about anything, give him the work. So that he won't complain anymore. So he put me in charge of as a secretary and treasurer of Seva organization and all that. Instead of answering all these Vedantic questions, he asked me to take a course. And this is what happens when I'm here and my wife is in New York. She dragged me to Swamiji's lectures, but she is now in North Carolina. With reference to existence and consciousness, is it fair to say that assistance revels in me as consciousness? Existence revels in me as consciousness. Consciousness, existence are not two separate. If I say consciousness, does it exist or not? We are not talking about non-existent consciousness. We are talking about existent consciousness only. Existence itself is consciousness. Why two names? You will tell also. Swami Gurudev, Ramana Maharshi answers. Only two names depending upon from what directions you are looking at it. I am called father, I am called husband, I am called son. Same person is called from different directions depending upon with a reference to what. So from non-existence it is existence. From unconscious it is conscious. So the nature of the reality is pointed out in the direction depending upon from what directions you're looking. Because consciousness is existence. So in the Chandogya that we took, it says, Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasid. It is existence alone was there in the beginning. But what is that existence? It is Tadaikshada Bahusyam Praja Eti. That existence saw. How can existence saw? Existence can see only it is a conscious entity. Unconscious entity cannot see. And there is nothing else to see. So what it means? It is self-conscious entity. Not only conscious, it is self-conscious entity. And that alone is the truth. So it's only from the different directions. Which Buddhist concept differ from Vedic concepts? Why Buddha is still considered an avatar? Why Mahavir is not considered as avatar? Actually, everybody is avatar. So everyone thinks their teacher is avatar. Okay? And everyone, Shankara thinks that people, Advaita says Shankara is avatar of Lord Shankara. If you go to Visishta Advaita, this is Ramanuja is avatar of Lakshmana himself. And the Madhvas think that Acharya is Avatara of Hanuman, right? The greatest Bhakta. So, Avatara concept is only an Indian concept where the Lord is descending in the form. We are falling, but God is coming down slowly. The difference between us and Avatara is. So, in principle, everybody is Avatara. So, if you want to consider Mahavir is also Avatara, there is no problem. Avatara is not necessarily 10. Actually, the Dasavatara is major ones are 10. But there are thousands of Avataras in the Mahabhagavatam also. So, you can consider Mahavir also. There are a lot of Bhagavans, a lot of people think there are a lot of Bhagavans. So, you can also become one Bhagavan also. So, there is no. Avataram is Vesham, right? My mother used to say, what is this Avataram? So, that Vesham also. I am taking this, even though it's 2 o'clock, I am taking it because these are more important to understand clearly than sometimes the class also. That's the reason. I know it's 2 o'clock. Please help understand the demarcation between mind and intellect. If time permits, translation of Purnamada Purnamedam. Wow. Okay, if demarcation between the mind, total together, this mind and intellect, together is also called just a mind. But if you really want to go differences again, then we differentiate between the nature of the thoughts. These are discriminative thoughts to know what is right, what is wrong. All concepts, everything at the intellect. That's called buddhi. And these are emotional centers. Bhavanas are come under the mind, emotional center. And in fact, we even put all this in the subtle body, all the jnanendriyas also. Okay? So the mind difference between these, one is a doubting type. You know, when you come out of the house and after half an hour of driving, you says, did I turn the stove off or not? Questions come. That is coming from the mind. All the doubts and decisions and all that comes from that. Decisions, mathematics, all concepts, all intellectual things occur in the intellect. In the hierarchy, buddhi is the highest. Next comes like a receiving clerk. He's a clerk and he's an officer. He collects all the information from the sense organs, input to the intellect, and get the decisions and then execute. So that's what the mind should be, a clerk. But what happens is, this fellow comes in between these two. He says, why do you want to consult it? Let's make a decision here itself. So, I know what is right thing to do. Intellect says, you shouldn't do this. But I feel like doing. When you feel like doing, when there is a disparity between the intellect and the mind, that disparity is what is called sin. That's the Swami's definition. So the degree of the disparity makes the degree of the sin also. If they are integrated, what the intellect says, what the mind feels, and what the actions are, if they are in line, there is no disparity in the thinking, what I know right and what I feel also, and manasa, vacha, karmana, all are in line. That's called arjavam. Straightforwardness. That's what yoga does, integrate the personality together. So next time say, I want to attend Saddarsanam camp, intellect making a decision. Says, this is not, let's have fun, there is nothing here, you have to sit there, all that and so on and so forth, listening to this Sadaji and all that, all the time he talks. If mind comes and says no, where is the coming? Intellect wants to make a decision, mind is opposing. When I keep giving more and more importance to the mind and override my intellect is becoming smaller at the expense of the mind. So whenever I compromise myself against my own values, see, this is what I'm talking. Every time I compromise myself against my own values, I am committing sin. And I am also committing importance to this. That's why the vasanas become more. The yogas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, all that is, instead of coming this, you bring that also. Lord also with you, so that you can be shielded from the vasanas. You know what is right thing to do, even if you do wrong, because He is there to protect you. That's how you transcend. With that, thank you for all your attention. I had fun answering all this.